Hey, what's up, guys? So, this is the particular player that I'm up with, and they're basically running a mage build, but it's set up kind of like a Plume Monarch. And you can kind of see why, but they're like 105 mil power, so they just do a ridiculous amount of damage. Like no matter what they do, they're just guaranteed to do a stupid amount of damage. Almost kind of ridiculous how much damage they're able to do. But you can really see it here where they're just all over the place. And they're just consistently wiping. It's actually kind of crazy. But of course, if you're wanting to build something like this, the main thing is so on the 20th, they'll have 15% on the discount code in the description below. So if you haven't already gotten into Aptoid and you want to save some money, especially like with right now with the event, you can take advantage of it on the 20th. And there'll be a big event for that. So you can, instead of getting 5%, you'll get 15%, basically, because they've got a 10% event going on that day. So it'll be a good opportunity to kind of take advantage of it, at least while it's around. But that said, it's like, even with the way my build is set up, which is, I'm not focusing too heavy on I'm not trying for survivability so much as I'm trying for damage here. And I haven't done any crazy tweaks by any means. I mean, this is probably not the best version of this build that I could possibly create, to be honest with you. Having looked at the way this person's handling skill crits, they're just basically going overkill on the amount of crits they do. And that's part of the reason why it does so well. But, even that has a limit, which you can see how that really played out. But even then, it's like we get all this loot. So we're not really doing too bad by any means. We'll probably go ahead and grab the gears, and then I think we'll grab the hearts. And then, well, we've still got some more left over, so actually we'll go ahead and grab the other hearts, and then we'll grab, it's kind of debatable, but I'd rather have the gears at the moment. I'm really low on gear, so we'll go ahead and grab those. I could probably swap. I'm not hurting too much on gold anymore. I could probably take these out now. And I don't really need those per se. I could probably switch those out in favor of things that are maybe a little bit more advantageous. So like we can grab the scrolls, probably the hearts. That stuff will add up. And just a little adjustment. But anyway, so on the actual build itself, right? I mean, I'm running combo crit, and that's primarily what I'm using. But what that person did was they basically, instead of, because one of the things that you'll know, at least in the case of running a Plume Monarch, is that you get some damage for combo damage resistance. And what this person did was basically when they evolve, they go through here and then they go down the mage route. And then in here, you have a choice of healer or spellcaster. They go to healer and chronomaster. Then they go to holy guide. And then they pick up the Crane's Whisper. And the reason why is because the Crane's Whisper will kick enemy shields off, which that's kind of ridiculous. Plus, it reduces skill damage resistance. So, if you're somebody that's running like a really heavy skill crit and you want to increase your skill crit, then really about all you have to do, in essence, to even really get that across, you take that off, and we'll throw in something like, the dragon, for example, which is going to increase that skill crit by 20%. Now, you could also, throw in like the Knight Sprite Fox if you've got it. So we're here, I could take that off, throw the Sprite Fox on. That's kind of like in a perfect world. That's probably the most amount of skill crit that you can pull. And then the rest of it really kind of comes down to gear more than anything. Like, so maybe instead of having so much crit rate, they kind of trade a large chunk of that away. You'll notice though that even though I do have my crit rate set up like I do, my combo is really, really low. At least at the moment, anyway. And so what we're going to do is we'll basically see if we can find some skill crit in the gear, and maybe we can just kind of ever so slightly tweak this to kind of give us what we want. But we'll go ahead and throw that on to give us that combo that we need. So we'll be a little bit more even keel the amount of crit rate we're doing. And then you'll notice our skill crit now is at 40%, which that's ideal in the sense that, you know, what we're ultimately tweaking for here is the amount of damage that we do with Eye of the Abyss. And so, I mean, here, like, we're really not adjusting too much. We're just taking away crit resistance. We could probably trade that off in favor of probably what we gain here in on the Eye of the Abyss. And with that in mind, but the only thing I could probably adjust, so like on the actual talents, if I wanted to bring up the amount of skill crit we're doing, we just need to, so it's 1 part skill damage and 1 part skill crit. So you almost have to kind of find a balance between the amount of skill crit damage you're doing. Because, you know, what you can do is, so like, rather than using like Cheetah Zero in my case, I could use Cloud Drifter. I could still keep, you know, like Flaming Carnage, for example. But what you do to kind of make this work for you rather than against you is you got to look for, it's probably like, it's not so much, well, we don't even need that, to be honest. We can just throw this on, but I don't really need to tweak or adjust any of that, I don't think. But with something like that, then our combo's going to be pretty high. Really about the only thing that we suffer from. So we've got a skill crit of 50. There's just really pitiful skill crit damage. So now we just need to bring up the amount of skill crit that we actually do. Which, in my head, I'm thinking the way you fix that is actually to go through and adjust talents. So we just go out and we pull it from Sork tree, and then we go over here, bring our skill crit damage all the way. Give ourselves 80% there. And I don't believe there's anywhere else, at least that I know of. There's not a lot of places to adjust that at. We could always bring in like anti-regen, which, to be honest with you, we could probably do that. It's just bring down the regen that players gain. Let's see. Here's the other regen. That'll bring it up, you know, considering that it's like 18% for a debuff, that should help quite a measurable amount. And then from there, well, let's say we probably ought to probably bring these up a little bit. Alright, with that in mind, what do we got here? Combo and crit for Palk? No. Fortunately, it's just not the right combo. Now, I do think Midnight Fireflight is the one of choice here. You definitely don't want to adjust that, but I'll go ahead and get that upgraded. So now, those tweaks. Skill crits now, it's still too low. I'd almost need to, so that's the only tricky part here, is like trying to find an even keel solution for this. Let's go ahead and collect our items here, but of course we can do some Star Hero draws. So we get a little bit of stuff. Oh, that's not bad. Cool. Cool. Nice. Nice. I haven't opened a lot of these in a while, so we're hitting a lot of good drops here. Okay, cool. So on the Star Heroes, we've got something for pals, which wouldn't be of much use for me here. So Mentor of Wisdom might be a good choice for us here. We might try that. And we've also got this one now, which reduces the target's base energy regen speed. Also does AoE skill. Yeah. Uses main, increases crit by 5. Yeah, it's kind of iffy there, but it's a thought. At least for now on the Star Hero list. Yeah, we'll go ahead and upgrade the remaining 2 that we got here. But I would say, at least in this array, we could probably swatch that one out for this. Cancel the deploy there, and then what do we have? Reducing damage. Yeah, we can take that out. We'll throw that in, and then let's see. Probably that. So we'll throw that, and we'll throw the wisdom. And then we'll take the active out, and we'll use this. So we'll just kind of get like a combination of passives. But those will all kind of work for us rather than against us. Now, like, this is crit rate and counter, this is combo and pal crit. It's got higher stats, so we'll just go ahead and take it. Just because we need the extra amount of combo here. It's really not going to be a total loss if we do it that way. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, about the only other thing I could probably try adjusting here is take it slow. We could take that out, throw Clone Strike in, and that will delay it. And then when we do that, we could probably so the only challenge is finding a happy medium for the skill crit we're doing here. And really about the only way I can see a buff to it would be, it's either going to be in, So we'd put it in basic attack. That'll give us kind of an even kill amount of bonus there. Rather than put it in the skill damage. We're doing like 5k crit as it is. But it's only 5k skill damage. It's not terribly too crazy here. As I would say about the only other major bonuses we could adjust would be probably in here, actually. Like we'd want to, I would say there's global combo. It kind of just varies though, because it's not really global crit that I want so much as I really want to modify the skill crit that we've got here, so there's not really any reason to. I would say on the morph in question here, so like right now we're using Alien Dimension. Could probably try let's see. I really don't have like a whole lot of decent choices in that realm, to be honest. It's just kind of the way it is. Because really about all you could do at this point would be to either take away from, like, I just really got to just upgrade that. That's really about where we're at. And that's fine, but I mean, it's just kind of nice when you can look at that and you can kind of say with some certainty, it's like, oh, okay, that's where we're stuck. Like if we could adjust that, then we would be able to do more skill crit damage and inevitably increase our skill crit. But even then, with something like this is probably still going to do pretty well in PvP, I would think. Because all we've really done is get to somebody that's like a little higher level so we can kind of gauge it a little better, but I know if I wanted to make this like really broken though, like I would just equip this and then instead of using smoke bomb, we'll use the bat. The reason why is because we've already got a pretty high skill crit as it is. So if we just like hop into ranked matches now and we just kick it off, I mean, in theory, that should proc more skill crit in theory. And then in theory, that's going to work out to be a better solution. And the fact that we can pop a shield is going to help. Interesting. This guy's like really dinky. It's not like losing though. It's just taking a while. But yeah. So I mean, you can kind of see what like the mindset of this mage modification is, and it doesn't take a whole lot to achieve. Obviously, when you do that, though, I mean, one of the problems with using this particular amount is for situations like that where you want to live longer. In which case, then, oh, I don't know. I guess, I mean, you could either do it in one of two ways. You could either, like, you can use something like Trembling Pepe to make yourself tankier, use Magic Carpet to, be able to proc more, or you could just run Cheetah Zero, which in PvP is just ridiculous. It's one of the few mounts in the game that is just broken. Like anybody that goes against anybody with this is just inevitably going to lose. But I don't know. I say that, and then it's like, there are the one-off times where I'm like totally wrong. Yeah, and then there's then there's the other scenario where you like there it's not even the fact that we're not doing enough damage really. I mean, it's ultimately what it comes down to. Tier attack's kind of a fun one though. That makes you like one of the most tanky. Between Trembling Pepe and this, I would say that tier attack is by and large a lot better for an artifact. But not everybody has it. It's like if you'd been around during the Pepe meme event, then maybe, but and it seems as though once again we're kind of in a stalemate. It's kind of a weird stalemate to say the least, but ended up winning anyway though. Let's see how this works out. Well, like you can tell, it's like once you've already kind of got like a combo crit build, it doesn't take a lot to make even the slightest adjustments to it to make it like you can bring it over to a mage build, for example. Like this is one example of using it as a mage, but you could also just as easily, like with a couple of tweaks, make it useful in like a POW build, for example. Counter Strike builds, that's another angle. And I don't see very many people like try, but a part of why though is it has a lot to do with the fact that like if you go Counter Strike, you just tend to be needing a ton of HP, and you've got to have a solution for all that damage that comes through. You got to have a center focus of the amount of HP that you've got. Like even in this battle, it's like we're just cranking away, really. It's kind of interesting how it's not like amounting to a whole lot of anything, though. And even though, sure, it's like you're doing a lot of damage and stuff and going back and forth, there's not enough to like make it go in any one direction, really, beyond being a long stalemate. This is the first stalemate that I've ever really just like kind of watched play out. But yeah, that's basically what this is it's just like they're just too even keel. And even then, eventually I would die, but and that like never got really anywhere. Try and see how these play out, see if they're any different. But like there, I'm dying almost immediately. But I don't know. I say that, but then it's like maybe, yeah, it's like not what I want. I mean, you kind of get the idea. I mean, like here, I'm just taking a ton of damage. But the same applies here. I think I was using a kind of like a different way to approach it, but we're only at like 26, so Now this is a little bit more common of a build I've seen. So they're taking advantage of all that skill crit procking and using it for extra damage, which usually works out in their favor, but because of that extra little chunk, I have one open. How do you say the 2-0 winds up going in favor of the win here? Alright, so we'll go ahead and pick up our Awakening Crystal. And for the most part, I mean, really about all I'll probably do is we'll take the 20 and then we'll just dump that in either this or this. But for now, we're going to start upgrading Global Attack. And then with what's left over, we'll throw it into these. And that's about where I'm at. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out the description down below.